Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about cloud computing, a model for managing and storing data via online servers because it's all in the cloud. So cloud computing is like a taxi. Traditionally, a company would need to buy a dedicated server to host their website, which they pay for whether they're using it or not. This is kind of like buying a car, which you're always paying for even though you're not using it sometimes. So when you're using a taxi, you only use it when you need it, and the rates are metered, meaning that if you go a short distance, you only pay a little bit of money, but if you should go a long distance, then you pay more. So there's three main components to cloud computing: the application of it, the platform, and its infrastructure. So let's start with the application. Cloud computing is very efficient because of its scalability. It's optimal for either slow or fast traffic with basically automatic versatility. There's no need to worry about angry customers online when you need a lot of data because it automatically scales up the power. Another point is the price. Like I mentioned, traditionally you have to pay for a hosting server when it's being used and when it's not being used. But since cloud computing is scalable, you're not always paying a steady rate. And lastly, the ease. All you need to access cloud computing is a remote personal or business computer. There's no hardware involved, so there's no hassle. The diagram titled New Pizza as a Service is a great visual to explain how the different services work. So all the way on the left, you have the traditional server, which is modeled by all of the components being managed by you. So the three different services are SaaS, Software as a Service, PaaS, Platform as a Service, ES, Infrastructure as a Service. And the second column is Infrastructure as a Service, in which you get the basic things such as a kitchen, gas, and oven, but you're in charge of the pizza dough toppings and cooking the pizza. Platform as a Service is where you get a little more things like the pizza dough included, but you're still in charge of toppings and cooking the pizza. Software as a Service is where you get all things managed by the vendor, and it's usually considered as a top of the pyramid service, so the one that most people go for. So now let's talk about infrastructure. With cloud hosting, you don't need to worry about any hardware. You don't need to have a person install it for you, or you don't have to stay awake at night wondering if you need to up your power or scale it down or anything. All you have to do is focus on growing your business instead. Just get a remote computer or a laptop that lets you connect to a cloud hosting service, and that's all. It's very efficient and very versatile. So how exactly does a company switch to cloud computing? Well, instead of paying for a dedicated server, put your website on a cloud server. When people start visiting your site more, you can almost instantly scale up as much power as you need. And this can be done automatically as well. You can access this remotely on a personal computer. So there's no hardware involved, like I mentioned before, and no hassle. So if you're a business owner that hosts a website, you should be thinking, what am I waiting for? It's time that I save time and money with cloud computing. And that's true. But some important things to consider are that your website data and company data are going to be managed by an external server, which you have no direct control of. So if something were to happen with the server or the vendor, then it might be hard to mediate customer downtime. Another important thing to contemplate is the right type of platform for you and your business, whether that be SaaS, PaaS, or ES, and that's something that you have to consider based on your individual or business needs. But at the end of the day, I think the choice is clear. Cloud computing is one of the fastest growing sectors in IT at the moment, and it's going to continue growing for the many coming years because of its efficiency and scalability. It's so versatile, and it's so clear that you can save so much time and money with cloud computing. Thanks for listening to the video and taking the time to learn about cloud computing. Like I said, one of the most interesting and fast growing sectors in IT. Here are some sources that I used, and shout out to the High Tech Dad for a very informative video over cloud computing. Have a great day, everyone!